Well, we are really looking forward to starting the conference play. I just think it's a real honor and privilege to be able to compete in the Southeastern Conference. We have a lot of respect for this conference and being members of it, and I just think over the course of time, historically, it's just the toughest conference in the country, and so we're excited to be a part of that and to start conference play. We'll have a very difficult and tough opponent in Florida. We have a great amount of respect for Florida. It's always a tough game with them. They're always well coached and well prepared and very physical, and we've had some really, really tough battles with them over the last few years, and particularly last year had some real tough games with them. So we'll have to be ready to go, have to be sharp, focused, and aggressive to have success against them, and we'll have to work hard to earn a victory.
Seem to be game planning differently for you now that Denisha and Samari are both down there. It seems like, Rick Insel was talking about how they really didn't even focus on Adia that much. They were more concerned with Denisha and Samari. And I'm wondering if you're seeing that kind of across the board.
Well, I talked to Brian Jorges from Marist, and he is a good friend of mine, and we just talked after the game, and he just said that that was a big focal point for them to try to shut down the inside, that they just felt like that they had to get that done and then try to do a good job with the outside shooters. And so I think that anytime you have really good post players that can score around the basket, I do think you see some game planning toward that, and a lot of people in our conference are really good at doubling post players and rotating out of that. And so I think that's clearly something when you have our personnel that you have to prepare for, and we try to work on that a little bit every day in practice. And it's a good problem to have post players that need to be double teamed, because it means you have talented players that can make plays. So it's hard to know exactly. I think all of us probably head into conference play with a little bit of apprehension about, are we ready to go? We just know how tough it's going to be, and I know Florida will have a great game plan for us. So the Marist game was really good to see that. If they do that, if Florida in fact does that, we should be prepared for it, because Marist did a really good job of making our post players make good decisions.
Do you need more from Adia since teams are focusing primarily on, or not primarily, but that they're trying to stop their second?
Well, we just need Adia to play the way she's capable of playing in the conference, and I know she will, and really excited, and I know she's excited to get conference play going. And I think the non-conference portion for her, I've always said this, she's a very cerebral player and smart player, and I think that she was just getting a feel for what needs to be done and how the team needs to come together, and she did a really good job of helping us get to a spot where I feel real confident about people understanding their roles and what we need from them. And I'm real confident Adia understands what we need from her. We need her to be real aggressive and be a big part of what we're trying to get done. And the great thing about Adia is she can impact the game in so many ways. She doesn't always have to score. But when the game was in question on Sunday, she really asserted herself at the end and looked good. We'll need, in conference play, we'll need a real steady performance from her each and every game, and making sure that she's involved.
While we're on Adia, she was banged up pretty good a couple of times in the match. Does she have any residual effects from that?
She's looked really good, and I do think that took her out of rhythm in the game a little bit, especially they were two pretty tough injuries. The bump to the head took her a little bit to clear that up, and then her hand just stayed numb for a while when she got hit on the funny bone, and so for that afternoon, it sort of took her out of it until the very end, and you could see that she really asserted herself in the last 10 minutes and did a good job. But she's had no residual effects, and she's practiced great and looks really good, and so we're looking for her to be full speed tomorrow night.
There's some question when you go into the SEC, how tough are we going to be? Are we really ready for it? What are the big concerns
Well, for us, I think I've liked what our team has done coming back from Christmas. They've been pretty focused, and they've been pretty, their maturity level has been good as far as being focused and handling the scouting report and execution-wise. So my concern is, can we just stay focused? Because I really have a lot of confidence in our talent and our players. And I think now for us, it's a real mental game of, can you really fall in love with practicing every day and getting into this routine of, every Tuesday and Wednesday is getting ready for that Thursday opponent, every Friday and Saturday, can you get ready for that Sunday opponent? But those are the kind of things I'm trying to talk to the team about now, is mental and emotional preparation, just making sure they're sharp when the ball goes in the air each and every game. And so I love our team and our talent level and the way and how hard they play. And so for me, as Coach of Kentucky, I'm just concerned about doing everything I can as their coach to help them stay mentally sharp as we go through this conference schedule.
Does it make it more complicated when you're, obviously you've never gone through this, but when you're the defending champion and you kind of have a target, do you talk to them about that at all? Is that something you do?
We talk to them. We are not approaching it as being the defending champion, because it's just a different team and a different year. And so that's sort of my view on it, and I think people have different views on how that goes. I just try to treat every year as being special and unique, so we don't talk about defending the championship. Now, we clearly want to win the SEC championship. That is something we absolutely talk about. And we do talk about what the program has become, and through the strong effort of players who have played before them, and it's some of the players on this current team, Kentucky has changed their profile over the last 3 seasons. And so you do need to expect a great effort from each opponent. You do need to understand that people know what they are going to get when they play us, so they're going to raise their level to try to match the intensity that we bring. And so you need to be ready. In the Southeastern Conference, there's 13 other teams that want to win the conference title as well. So I just try to talk to them about the responsibility they have to try to exceed the other team's intensity level each and every time they go out.
There's been a couple of games, at least that I've noticed, where the bench scored over 40 points. There are times when they score a third of that or less. Is it indicative of the desire for the bench, or is it just the front five are scoring so well they're not being brought out on those lower scoring bench days? Or
Yeah, I just think it's just how each individual game goes. I don't think there's a real pattern there. Some teams that don't handle the ball as well, we can play a lot of different players and affect them with our depth and our athleticism. Sometimes you play a really smart, sharp team like Marist, and you have to go sometimes with more of the starters because they handle things maybe a little bit better. So it just kind of depends on how the game unfolds. And I'm really excited about how our starting five's playing, and they're doing a great job. And I think the bench doesn't need to necessarily do a huge part of the scoring load. Whatever they can come in, they need to make sure they come in and play great defense when we substitute is really what I'm looking for. I think we are progressing. We're not where we are hoping we will end up. And, as a coaching staff, we're going to do everything we can to make sure we end up in the right place. But I do see them progressing. I think Jennifer is really working hard in practice and trying to do a better job. And in the second half on Sunday, I thought she did a better job with defensive energy. And that's the big thing with those two kids that are playing the point for us now. I need them in practice every day to just be real tough on the defensive end, and so that's what we're focusing on.
Now, Sydney Moss, obviously has so many Kentucky ties, and you always get concerned when a kid comes back home. And I mean, is she? I guess she's clearly somebody on the scouting report.
Absolutely, she is their second leading scorer and a player we have tremendous respect for. I told the players when we were going through Florida personnel, she's someone that we actively recruited and offered a scholarship to, and we wanted her to play here, and that tells you what we think of her as a player. And she chose to go to Florida, and I know it's going to be a short drive for her family and friends, and so we can expect her to play with a really high level of energy. But that is what I've seen from Sydney Moss since I've watched her. That's one thing, that she is a tremendous competitor, has a great motor. That's why we wanted her to come here. She is an outstanding player and clearly one of Florida's best players. So if you add in the extra motivation of playing in front of some family and friends, you need to be ready for a really, really tough player taking the floor. So whether she starts or comes off the bench, she's done both. We'll have to be ready for her, and she definitely has our team's attention.
What's the thing you've been most pleased about with this team so far, and the thing you've been most concerned about so far?
Well, I've just been really pleased with the progress that we've made in becoming a really solid team that's not just talented and good here and there. I think we have shown some consistency with some really talented players. You know, talented players, especially big kids, sometimes for some reason seem to get by on that talent and maybe have some ups and downs. Our two starting post players have been pretty solid with their effort and their consistent effort throughout practice and games. And so I just think we have some talented players that play pretty hard, and so that's been something I've enjoyed seeing develop. Just our inexperience and our youth at point guard that I think is improving, but we're going to have to really play, I think, a lot better in the conference than we've played in the non-conference. But we should. It's Janae's getting more experience every game and every practice. I think Jennifer's getting more comfortable, although she's really a junior, redshirt sophomore. I think she's just now sort of believing that she can run this team. So those were the point guard position is my biggest concern, but I see that coming around too. So I'm really happy with where we are headed into conference, and now we just have to go out and go about the business of getting some W's here, and those are always hard to come by in conference play.
Guy and I were just talking before this started that, Adia's numbers are never going to be because you have more talent, I guess, spread around. Her numbers maybe might not make her an SEC Player of the Year this year. Is it kind of nice to have somebody on your team that maybe doesn't care so much about that would rather win the games than get the accolades?
Yeah, that's something that we talk about. If you look in the SEC stats right now, we don't have a lot of kids that are leading in a lot of areas, and I really, quite frankly, rarely look at those things. We tell them all the time in recruiting that our number one goal is to recruit a lot of talented players because we want Kentucky to be successful. And if you're looking for yourself to be, getting all league honors or player of the week honors or player of the year honors, that'll never be something that we really push or are interested in. It's great recognition when those things happen, but that's not anything that is very exciting to me. What's exciting to me is winning an SEC championship, and I think we have a team that's capable of that. And if they'll just stay really committed to each other and work really hard and stay focused on what our core principles are, then all the recognition will take care of itself, and we think that's what happens in life too. So I don't give a lot of thought to how many players we're going to have on the postseason awards. The only one we're really focused on now is trying to win the championship.